YouTube, this is Mario here, and I'd like to welcome you to the first tutorial video on my channel. So today's tutorial is going to be how to create a 3DS layout from scratch for use on YouTube and Twitch. This layout assumes that you have a 3DS capture card. So in this tutorial we will also be using Photoshop and OBS at the end to fit the layer into place with all the windows and the webcam. So the Photoshop skills demonstrated in this tutorial are aimed at both novice, intermediate and advanced Photoshop users, and I should also add that I'll be including a link in the description below with a template of this layout that is featured in this tutorial. So without further ado, I will present to you this tutorial, and I really hope you can learn and take something away from it. Let's get it underway. The first thing I want to discuss is aspect ratios and pixel resolutions, particularly of the Nintendo 3DS screens. So as you'll see here in Google, I have the resolution of the top 3DS screen, which happens to be 400 by 240, or in our case, 240p. So yeah, and the resolution of the bottom screen is also 240p, but it's different aspect ratio. So it's resolution is 300 times 240. So the aspect ratio of the top Nintendo 3DS screen, which is 400 by 240 resolution, is actually 5 by 3. And the aspect ratio of the bottom Nintendo 3DS screen is actually 4 by 3. Now, obviously that to a lot of you would be too small. So what we're going to do is we're going to go here to an aspect ratio calculator and make the measurements necessary to keep the aspect ratio the same. So as you can see here, I've got 880 by 528, and that still maintains a 5 by 3 aspect ratio. To give you an idea, if we went up to 1000 times 600, we would also maintain our aspect ratio of 5 by 3, which is what we want. So again, you can obviously do the same with the bottom screen as well. So for example, we're now going to increase the size of the bottom screen in the aspect ratio calculator to 640 by 480, and you can see that is exactly double the resolution, but it still maintains its 4 by 3 aspect ratio, which is what we want. So to give you an idea of why we want to do this, if you see of this image here, you see this man, and he's in a 4 by 3 aspect ratio, but when you see him in 16 by 9, he looks all stretched. So we're trying to prevent that phenomenon from happening in our recordings and in our layout especially. So now we're in Photoshop, and I'm going to run you through how to design this layout. So what I'm going to do is click File, New, and we're going to name this layout Demo Layout. And we're going to make its width 1280 and its height 720, so otherwise known as 720p. So you could go a higher resolution if you wanted to, such as 1080p, but again, keep in mind, well, this is actually just personal preference. I prefer 720p for two reasons in particular. Number one is that we're already upscaling a 240p source to a higher resolution. The other reason I like to use 720p as well is because not everyone in the world has the greatest internet. I have really reasonable internet, but a lot of people from where I'm from in Australia don't have the greatest internet. So it's just being mindful of them that their bandwidth is limited, and that normally, they look at videos in lower quality simply so they're not getting skipping or pauses, or not sitting there forever trying to watch the video while it's loading. So those are the few things to consider when making a YouTube and Twitch layout. We're going to click OK. So now that we've got the dimensions for our layout sorted, what we're going to do now is create another new document. And this is going to be the basis for our top screen of the 3DS. So as you can see, the width is 880 and the height is 528. This is what we want because it is lined up with our desired 5 by 3 aspect ratio. So we're going to click OK. And what we're going to do is we're going to rename this layer. You can double click it to 3DS top, hit enter. And now what I'm going to do here is, if you see the color picker here, I've selected green. Green is a color commonly chroma keyed out by a lot of software for video purposes, so that's why I've chosen it. So we're just going to go to the paint bucket tool. So you can see it here among gradient tool and 3D material drop tool. Just make sure you don't confuse it with the 3D material drop tool. Make sure you've got paint bucket tool selected and dye this whole rectangle green. Now what we're going to do now is we're going to right click this layer, 3ds top, and go to duplicate layer. Now what you're going to do here is, I'm just getting rid of the copy part because it's unnecessary in the name of the layer. And you're going to go to destination document and go to demo layout PSD and click OK. Now we'll no longer need this document, so we can just close it. There's no need to save it. And as you'll see, our 3ds top screen, the dimensions for it have now appeared in the layouts PSD. Now we're going to follow the same steps that we used to create our 3ds top screen to create the 3ds bottom screen. So again, we're going to create a new document and make the width 320 and the height 240. We're going to click OK. And now, as you can see, this is a square. So the same set of instructions as last time. Dye this green, make sure you have the paint bucket tool selected. We're going to rename this layer 3ds bottom. And now we're going to duplicate this layer, get rid of the copy in it. And yeah, we're going to make the target document our layout and then click OK. So you may notice that you can't, it's not visibly obvious to you because it's all the same color. That's fine. What you're going to want to do here is, if you see this eye here, if you just click on it and it becomes a square, it makes the other layer completely invisible. So now we can see our square. So yeah, what I'm going to do in this example now is I'm just going to drag out the square and put it down here for now. So you also notice that Photoshop likes to snap things into place. So the square and the rectangle at the moment seem in line. And that's the way we want it for the moment. Now I'm going to add a webcam to this layout. So I'm going to press Control N to make a new document again. And I've decided that I want to make the width 320 and the height 180. So click OK, and this will create a rectangular shape. So what we're going to do is the same technique I've been demonstrating previously, getting the paint bucket tool, making sure it's green, dyeing it green. We're going to rename this layer webcam, and then we're going to duplicate it and make the target document demo layout. Click OK, and then just close this document, because we won't be needing it. And yeah, if you've got any other documents that we had open before, you don't need them either, because they're just being used for the purpose of getting to dimensions of our shapes. And yeah, what we're going to do here is just going to drag it. It'll actually be hidden here, but we're just going to drag it here into the top right hand corner. It will snap into place, and now we've got the basis for all our shapes set. Now that we have all the shapes sorted for the top 3ds screen, the webcam, and the bottom 3ds screen, what we're going to do now is we're going to come down here to the folder icon, which will create a new group. We're going to double click it and name this group main. Now what we're going to do is select the webcam layer here, and while holding control, we're going to click these other two layers, 3ds bottom and 3ds top, and drag them into the main group. Now they are all grouped together, which is what we want. So because what we're going to do now is move these three shapes into the middle of the document. So I'm going to press Control A and Control T. Now using the Move tool, we can now position these vertically into the center. So what you're going to come up here is, and do is click Align Vertical Centers, and now all the shapes are in the middle as I want them. So this is exactly the way I want them arranged at the moment. Step is to select the Mark We tool and just right click anywhere in the document and deselect. And now what I want to do is, I've decided that I want to move each object roughly 10 pixels away from the edge of the document, respectively. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the 3ds top layer, And with the move tool selected, I'm just going to tap the right arrow key 10 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I'm going to do the same with both the webcam and 3ds bottom layers. So I'm going to select webcam, control click, and select 3ds bottom, and do exactly the same. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 with the left arrow key, and now we have them in the position that we want. What I'm going to do now is give every shape in the document so far a border. So this is where the advantage of having groups comes in. So as you can see here, we've got the main group, which has 3 layers in it. We're going to right click the main group, select blending options, and select stroke. Now this, as you can see, is given each shape a black border, and we're going to make it a little bit bigger. So we're going to make it around 4 pixels wide, and we're going to click OK. The thing we're going to do is now give this document a background. So as you can see here, I actually still have layer 1 left over. I'm just going to double click that and nickname it to background. And what we're going to do for our background here is come over here and make sure the gradient tool is selected. So the gradient tool's in the same location where you can find the paint bucket tool. And we're going to select our colors here now. So I'm going to select red. And in the second color behind it in the color picker tool, we're going to select blue and click OK. And now that we've got those selected, we've selected the gradient tool. I'm just going to drag it from the top left corner to the bottom right corner. And now we have a pretty cool looking gradient background effect. The thing we're going to do is add in a few effects. Firstly, to the background. So I'm going to right click on the background and go to blending options and give the background a bit of a pattern overlay. So we're going to come down here and tick pattern overlay, and we're going to change its opacity to 50% because I don't want the pattern to take up the whole layer and be the only thing we see. So we're going to adjust the opacity to 50%, and I'm going to change the pattern. You can get more patterns and brushes online for use of Photoshop. So I think people use Brush Easy. So you can find them there. I'll include a link to the website in the description. And we're going to select the carbon-fibre pattern and then click OK. So as you can see, it's given me a nice carbon fiber effect to the background, which I'm pretty happy with. So I've decided I also want to add another effect to the borders of the shapes. So what I'm going to do is right click main, go to blending options and select outered low. Now I'm going to change the spread and size, and what this will do is it will give like a glowy effect from the borders of the shapes. So as you can see me adjusting now, you may want to make a few adjustments to these depending on how intense or how apparent you want the effect to be, how visible. And yeah, so we're just going to leave it here at 20, make it, yeah, that looks about right for, yeah, that looks about right. So as you can see here, I've got spread at 20% and size at 24%. And yeah, I'm happy with that for now. I'm going to click OK. As far as fancy effects goes, I'm pretty happy with them for now. Now I'm going to add some text to this document. So what I'm going to do is I want this text to be white in color. So I'm just going to select white from the color picker tool and then click OK. And now I'm going to create a new group. So I'm going to name this group text. And what I'm going to come down here is I want the text to all have a black border and see what it looks like while I'm typing it. So I'm going to right click the text group, go to blending options, click stroke, just leave the pixel width to default for the moment, which is 3 pixels, click OK. And now I'm going to go here to the text tool. So you're just going to drag the size of the field to what you want it to be. So in this case, the text field. And yeah, up here you can obviously select the fonts that you want and the size you want it to be. In our case, we're using Impact, and the font size is 48. And just here, I'm going to put Blue Mario's VGC 15 battles. And then I'm going to come here to the Move tool, and I'm going to move the text a little bit closer to the top screen. And the cool thing about this is every time you make a new text field or or if you always want the text to be consistent, it will obey the rules of the group, which will mean that all your text will always have a black border, which is pretty cool. I also want to add some text to the bottom. So what I'm going to do is right click this text layer and click duplicate layer, just click OK. I'm going to press Control and A of the move tool selected. I am going to select align bottom edges, and now I have a copy of the same text on the bottom. And obviously I'm going to change the bottom text as well. So the cool thing about doing it this way is the bottom text, the field size will be exactly the same as it is on top. And I'm just going to put in the text field below down here, leave a comment below. And yeah, I'm just going to click the move tool and just go to marquee and deselect. Apply the same technique at the bottom. What I'm going to do is going to duplicate the bottom layer, your text here, okay, and just move it up with the key arrow. I want it to be in between and in line, so it's consistent. So I want it to be in between the webcam and the bottom screen, and it's just going to sit just about here. You can see here I've shrunk the text to about 24 and included my friend code and IGN in this layer. If you find some of this text redundant or that you just simply do not need it, you can always disable it by clicking on this eyelid icon, and for the whole folder all the text will disappear, or obviously you can just select individual layers. So my FC and IGN disappear and the your text here disappeared, as you can see in this demonstration. What we're going to do is link the text layers together with the shapes. Now what this will achieve is, well, you'll just have to find out. So we're going to click the top text, and we're going to press Control click on the bottom text, and then press Control click on the 3ds top screen. We're then going to right click and select link layers. Now what this will do is, if I just deselect all those layers for the moment, if I move the 3ds top screen by itself because I decide that I don't like that it's too close to the edge, I can do that with the move tool, pressing the right arrow key, and those other layers will come along with it. So until I'm happy with my adjustment, for example, that it is in the right place, but obviously we don't want it like that. But I suppose you get the idea. It will keep the text and the shape layer aligned perfectly. And we're going to apply the same technique to this side of the document as well. You can see here with all the layers on the right hand side, we're going to apply the same technique. Right click, link layers, and that way when we move only one of the layers, the remaining layers will stay all aligned when that one layer moves, which is what we want. Next thing we're going to do is add some images to this layout. So I'm going to create a new group and call it pictures, and I'm going to drag it down and put it below the main group. And I've already got an image here that I've downloaded, so it's a Pokeball and it's a PNG, so this is transparent. So I'm just going to drag it from Chrome into the document, and then I'm just going to click on the move tool, click place, and drag it into the pictures group. Now I'm going to press Control T, move it to where I want it to be, which is beside the heading. And now while I'm shrinking it, I'm going to hold down Shift, which will maintain the image's aspect ratio. So I'm going to have one Pokeball on this side of the heading, and then another Pokeball on the other side of the heading. You can see I've got a Pokeball on each side of the heading, and I've named them Pokeball left and Pokeball right, so don't forget which one is which. I'm going to add another image. This will be an image of Magalucario, and I'm just going to drag it in as the same as we did before, and you'll notice it's behind the 3DS screen, which is what we want. So I'm going to resize Lucario, holding down Shift again to so he maintains his aspect ratio, and we're going to put him up here. Now, as you'll notice, we're just going to hit the move tool and click place. You'll notice that he is overlapping the Pokeball, and this is just sort of an example that if I drag Pokeball left above Lucario in the layered order list. He'll be below it, and if I drag Pokeball below, Lucario will overlap it. So the way to imagine layers, and this is just for the new, people who may be newer to Photoshop, is imagine them like the layers of a sandwich, except certain parts of the sandwich are visible and certain parts are not. And yeah, I think that's the best way I can explain it. Is I'm just going to apply a few individual effects to each photo, or picture rather. So I'm just going to right click the relevant layer, click blending options. I'm going to put an inner shadow inside the Pokeball. I want to do the same to the other Pokeball, so I'm going to right click and select copy layer style, and then I'm going to paste the layer style onto the other Pokeball. And the reason I do it here, not on the folder, is because I don't want Lucario to have the same shadow effect at the moment, or pretty much ever. So I'm going to have a separate effect for Lucario, and it's going to be an outer glow. So I like that, so I'm just going to click OK. And yeah, so that's pretty much how to apply individual effects within the same folder. We're just going to make some last minute adjustments. As you can see off screen, I added Mario and the Twitter bird, and now I'm going to apply some graphics effects to all the text in a layer style in this folder. So it's the same idea as when earlier on in the tutorial you saw me have a border for all the text as I was typing it, and that was all in the folder. So the same idea applies to graphics effects as well for the layer style. So what we're going to do is we're going to give the text a gradient overlay. I like the rainbow one, and we're going to give it a slight outer glow as well. We should maybe give the outer glow, we'll say maybe 16 pixels looks like 16 pixels looks good. So I'm going to click OK, and now we're going to save our PSD file. So just hit save and give it a name if you already haven't. So save as in that case, and now we're actually going to save as now, and save the file as a PNG. So I've saved it, gone ahead and saved it before. We'll just overwrite it now, click OK. Just the default options are fine, so small or slow, interlace none, and then click OK. And now we're going to proceed to using OBS to fit all the windows into the shapes, so the 3DS screen and the webcam. Okay, so now we're in OBS. And what we're going to do is we're going to right click scenes and click add scene. I'm just going to call this demo and click OK. Now in sources, I'm going to add the image that we made, the layout. So click on image and just call it layout, click OK. And now you're just going to browse to where you saved the layout PNG file. So just click OK. And now we're going to click on preview stream and start adjusting window sizes. Okay, so now as you can see, this is our image, and we're going to add the windows. So we're going to go to window capture, add window capture, and put 3DS top. So we're going to add the top screen first. And yep, this is the top screen. You can see by the throughput, the USB speed, and the frame rate. So we're going to untick capture mouse cursor, make sure inner window is ticked, and then click OK. Now what we're going to do is click on edit scene, and now we can resize the sizes of the 3DS top screen. For those of you wondering, the top screen in the 3DS software itself, the 3DS capture software that is set at .x × 3. So what we're going to do here is you're going to want to adjust the size and the position of the top screen until you see no more green behind it. And yeah, if you find this a difficult thing to do, so I'm just going to fit it into place until I see no more green. If for whatever reason you're having difficulty doing this, what I suggest you do is open the Windows Start menu and search for magnifier, and just zoom it just to make sure you can see what you're doing. So I'm just going to drag it in until I see no more green. Yep, it's in place. It's in place exactly fitting. Okay, so now I've done that, we've fitted in the top screen into place as we like. So we're going to do this next, the same process for the bottom screen as well. So we name it 3ds bottom, hit OK, and we're going to select the next window without any of the frame rate or USB speed information. So that's how you can tell the bottom and top screen apart. We're going to again untick capture mouse cursor and make sure inner window is selected and click OK. And we're going to follow the same process that we did to fit that top screen in. So it's going to shrink this screen, fit it into place with the corner or the edge until we see no more green. And now it's going to shrink it down. So it should be fairly simple. But if you ever get stuck doing this, I recommend, as I showed earlier, the magnifier. Another way to do it, I suppose, is to make sure that if you can see, if I just move the arrow key, I can see a green line, so that fits perfect into place. If I move it one down with the arrow key, I see another green line, I see another green line, and I see another green line. So just by clicking elsewhere without the red border showing up, and yeah, so essentially I was able to tell that that was fitting perfectly in place. And now we're going to add the webcam, which will be the video capture device. So just call it webcam, click OK, and now we are going to set the custom resolution. So the resolution of the webcam in Photoshop that we made for the webcam will be 320 by 180, and you can see here that setting matches that. So we're going to select that resolution 320 by 180. The frame rate will be 30 FPS, and now we're going to click OK. So and now you can see me. Hey! So yeah, so we don't need to adjust the size of this at all. It should just fit into place. And we're just going to adjust it with the arrow keys right into place. And yep, there we go. It's exactly as we want it. Now we are recording the gameplay itself in OBS. So all you have to do is click start recording, and this is what the end result looks like. Now obviously below you can see, below the bottom screen, you can see your text here. You can obviously change that to whatever you want in Photoshop, for example. I just put it there as a placeholder. So yeah, but all it comes down to now is setting your recording settings in OBS, and you're pretty much good to go from there. You can stream and or record, your preference. Last thing I'd like to show you quickly is how to add a glass border effect to the shapes. So what we're going to do is I've decided I want to get rid of the stroke. So I'm just going to right click here, go to blending options, get rid of stroke, click OK. Now what I want to do is right click main again, click on duplicate group, then under document click new, and we're going to call this glass underscore example, then click OK. Now you'll notice here you still got the glow, and we don't want that glow effect in this document, in the new document glass example. So what you're going to do is right click main and click clear layer style. Now what we're going to do here is right click main again, go to blending options and tick bevel and contour, and you can adjust the effects with these sliders in bevel, emboss and contour in this layer style window. So this is going to leave default for now, click OK. And now what we're going to do is adjust the fill. Now the fill, if you put it all the way to 0, you'll see that the effect of for a border still remains and that everything is perfectly transparent. So what we're going to do is go ahead and save that as both a PSD and as a PNG file. And I'm just going to save this as well because I removed the black border. To save that as a PNG as well. And yeah, and now I'm going to show you what this looks like in OBS. Now we have added the glass border to OBS. We have made the image the top source in the scene, and obviously the glass borders are surrounding all the screens and webcam, which is what we want. So yeah, this is a very nice effect in my opinion, and yeah, you can apply it and adjust the effect as much as you like in Photoshop to make it to your preference. That concludes today's tutorial video. I'd like to thank you for watching. I really hope you did learn from it and enjoyed it as well. Please check back to my channel in future for more tutorial videos, particularly on 3ds capture card tutorial and how to record gameplay with various capture software. So again guys, thank you for watching. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.